وأهل بيته أجمعين. Brothers and sisters, welcome back again in our weekly Tajweed lesson. Uh, just to remind you, everybody, this Tajweed lessons is exclusively for the Ramadan. Uh, is a current lockdown. We're trying to make the most out of whatever we have. This is why we started 2 days the lesson in Ramadan, a Tajweed lesson, 2 days a week. Uh, but we try to focus the main the rules of the tajweed. We might not be able to cover everything, but just the basic rules that we need to know to read the Quran correctly. Uh, just again, very important. I always remind the viewers that this is just a theoretical aspect, okay, and the main part is the practical. So you know the rules. Once you know, you have to read it, and once you are able to read correctly, deliver this rule in your recitation, then is the fruit will come out. And the only way that you need to read to someone, one sheikh or sheikh, whoever you trust, you need to say, can you listen to my letter? This rule is the idgham correctly I'm doing, or gunna correctly doing, or the mudud I'm doing correctly. Uh, because as Arabic is very sensitive language, very sensitive. Sometimes if you just change little or to ka, one letter change, it change whole meaning. Sometimes even not the letter, just to elongation. You say meaning change. You say wala adab, wala adab, completely different meaning. So this is how sometimes people think, why do we too much stress on these subjects? Because we think I'm reading correctly. We think that our research is correct. But when we look at the magnifying glass, the Tajweed magnifying, then we see so many drawbacks. So it's important that we know the rules, and then inshallah we implement in our recitation and check by someone who we trust that the recitation is sahih. Uh, Brothers and sisters, today we'll be covering the rules of Noon, Sakin, and Tanween. It's a very common rule, and it's not very deep. I would say these rules, I think, is the most we come across when we recite. So the rules of Noon, Sakin is very important. Uh, Rules in Noon, Sakin, it has four rules under the Noon, Sakin. There's four rules. Uh, I'll just read out the name first, and then I'll go back to what we're supposed to start, what is Nun Sakin and what is Tanween. We have four rules. It's called Izhar, Idgham, Ikhfa, and Iqlab. It's Izhar, Idgham, Ikhfa, and Iqlab. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. What is Nun Sakin and what is Tanween? Nun Sakin is when we have the sukun on the top of the noon. Now, sukun in different mushaf, sometimes they write differently. Some mushaf they write like this. They write the sukun this way is this. Sometimes they wrote circle. Sometimes they wrote any shape. If you open the mushaf, you know automatically what type of the sign they use for the sukun. So these are usually mostly used the signs for the mushaf. Now, if you see the noon has one of these, for instance, if I use this one, then it is noon sakin. Now, sometimes we come across like this. This noon has nothing on the top. Still is noon sakin. So, sakin letter doesn't have to have any sign. If the letter has no sign, then it is sakin. So that means this noon it has a sukun there. So what we can say, if the noon has sukun on the top or nothing on the top, it's a noon sakin. Okay. Now, what is tanween? Tanween is, these are the three signs of tanween: double fatha or fathatain, double kasra or kasratain, and double dhamma or dhammatain. Okay, these are the signs for tanween. So we call them all together tanween. Sometimes people say tanween fatha, tanween dhamma, but we don't say tanween means it's one of these. Okay, so whether it's with double fatha, double kasra, or double dhamma. Why is tanween? Because why do they come together? If you just break it down, then you can see they sounds exactly same. For instance, if I write an nun sakin, here is, we have the nun sound here, nun, and if I write again here an, the same sound is nun, this sound coming up. Okay, so whenever this sound coming up, this is why, though there are two different writings, because of the sound, we put them in same rule. So an, and with the nun, this an fatha, double fatha or tanween, and with the nun, an. This is what we call them in the same rule, put in the same rule. Now let's start with the first rule is izhar. Izhar. Izhar, it means clear. I.e., when we read out the letter or that rule, it's very clear. You can hear the letter clearly. The gunna there, the nun sakin tanween, there is no hiding or no merging, nothing is very clear nun. Okay, this is the nun we talk about when we learn the makharij al-huruf. This is the nun. It's not the nun of the gunna. Okay, it's a shay mushaddad nun or the nun with the gunna. Not this nun. It's just a clear nun. But it has every of the rules, these four rules, izhar, idgham, izhar, and ikhfa there, their own letters. So how do I explain this? To find out these four letters is a three-step rule. I make them three-step rules. First, if I write on the side, look for nun sakin or tanween. Then look at the next letter. Look at the next letter. And third, it could be izhar, it's decision. Decision means what is the rule? Or we can say rule. Rule. So izhar, it has 6 letters. As I said, every of the rule has their own the letters attached to this. So izhar has 6 letters. They are the 6 letters called huruf halqi in makharij al-huruf we learned. Hamzaha, Ainha, Ghainha. There's the throat letters, the 6 throat letters, that the letters of izhar. So those who followed the first lesson or the second lesson, we know this the letter already by heart, because there's the throat letters. Throat letters are 6. Hamzaha, Ainha, Ghainha, the 6 letters. These 6 letters, if I write there, it's going to be easier. This Hamza, Ha, Ain, Ha, Ghain, Kha. They're the 6 letters. Now, if you see the 3-step rules are here, look at the nun sakin and tanween. Let's look at some of the example. Okay. For instance, if I write an'amta, an'amta, an'amta. Now, in this word, what's the first rule? It said look for nun sakin or tanween. I'm going to check, is there any nun sakin there? So first one is hamza, second one is nun. So I have this nun, it has nothing on the top. That means it's a nun sakin. So I fulfilled the first step rule, nun sakin. I got the nun sakin. What's the second step? Look at the next letter. And here the next letter is Ain. Next letter is Ain. And if I check if the Ain is in the izhar, Hamzaha Ain. So Ain, one of the letters of izhar. That means that rule is, so I have fulfilled the second condition. So I fulfilled the second condition. Look at the next letter. Next letter is, if it is the letter of this the letters what belong to that rule, then we go to the third rule. Third is ruling. It is izhar. Ruling is izhar. So I put there ruling. Ruling means it's a what rule is it? Is it izhar, idgham, or iqlab? So if the second line is very important, we have to look at the next letter always. So here is next letter is ayn, belong to izhar. So that rule is izhar. Now, how do we read izhar? Izhar means when you read it, it's very clear. There's no an'amta, it's an'amta, an'amta. Likewise, if we get another rule here, tanhar, tanhar. You see, after again, is there first rule is look for the noon sakin and tanween. I have ta, noon, and this noon has nothing on the top. That means it's noon sakin. Second rule now, look at the next letter, is ha. So ha is the letter of hamza ha, letter of izhar. So this is izhar. So this rule is tanhar, tanhar. Okay. If we do with some tanween now, for instance, if I write ajrun غير أجر غير. Is there noon sakin or tanween? I don't see any noon sakin there, but alif jim, but there's tanween there, double dhamma. You see the double dhamma here? It's tanween. So I have ajrun. Now next step, look at the next letter. Next letter is the ghain. Ghain belongs to izhar. Hamza, ha, ain, ha, ghain here. Okay. So this is ajrun ghayru. Ajrun ghayru. That means this is izhar. And how do you read this? Ajrun ghayru. Clear noon. Problem is, if you stay longer on this noon, then you give the nasal sound and it will come as a gunna, and which is not correct. So it shouldn't be ajrun ghayru. No. Ajrun ghayru. An'amta tanhar. Or عليم حكيم. عليم حكيم. Now عليم, we have the meme and it has a tanween on the top. The meme has a tanween. So after tanween, the next letter is ha. Hamza, ha, ain, ha. Ha is the letter of izhar. So it is alimun hakim. That means this is izhar. So this is how we really figure out all the rules. 3 steps. First, look for nun sakin tanween. Second, look at the next letter. If the letter belongs to the rule where we know, then third step is very simple. It attached to that rule. And then we have to learn how to read this word. So for here, again, I said it has to be very clear noon. An'amta ajrun ghayru alimun hakim minhum tanhar. All of them. Okay. Let's go to the next rule. It's idgham. Again, it has 6 letters. يَوْمَلُونَ. Idgham has 6 letters again. Idgham has 6 letters. These 6 letters are ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, noon, but in short form, we call yarmalun. The word is called yarmalun. If you can remember this word like this, it could be easier. Yarmalun. the 6 letters in one word. So yarmalun. Now, what is izhar? Izhar when you read clearly and no gunna. Okay. What is idgham? It's to merge, to mix, to enter. When the two letters merge together, we call them idgham. Okay. So idgham has 6 letters. If you notice, I wrote 2 letters in different color. They are ra and lam. When I'll explain later, but you just let you know, idgham again 2 types. Idgham with gunna, idgham without gunna. These out of these 6 letters, 4 letters are idgham with gunna. When we merge from the nasal touch, with gunna. And the other 2, when we merge these 2, we merge, but no nasal touch. It's completely without gunna. So we call them idgham with gunna, idgham without gunna. Now, let's just look for some example. من يعمل. Now let's do this 3-step rule again. After nun sakin, look for nun sakin and tanween. Do we have any nun sakin in these words? Yes, we have nun sakin. Look at the next letter. What's the next letter here? It's ya. Does ya belong to idgham or izhar? Is ya belong to first one is idgham. Now, if there is any letters from the izhar, we could have said it's idgham, izhar rule. Now we see the ya is belong to idgham, so it is idgham. Now, how do we say this? Again, if you see the idgham, as I said, that is idgham with gunna, because it's one of the 4 letters. Ya, mim, wa, nun. So idgham is not man ya'mal, like when we see the idhar, it could have been very clear. Here, we have to merge this idgham, this nun, to ya. So it's man ya'mal, man ya'mal. We have to say man ya'mal, lots of man ya'mal, not for side like this, okay? Or mi yawmihimu. No, it's me, not min, no nun sound. Not me complete, is man ya'mal. The noon merging with the ya. Okay. So another one, if we look at this one. وجوه يوم. وجوه يوم. Now, is there any nun sakin tanween first rule? We have the tanween here. Wujuh. What's the next letter? It's ya again. It's idgham. Wujuh yawma. Or if we have lan nu'mina. Lan nu'mina. Any nun sakin or tanween? We have nun sakin here. What's the next letter? Nun. Nun is all the letters of idgham. So it's lan nu'mina. We merge. Right? Again, there are a few more examples here. So if we go to this two, this all, so far we learned this all are with gunna from the nasal touch. Now there are some rules. For instance, if I write it, this one, Allah, Allah istaghna. You see, after nun sakin, we have ra. Ra is the letter which there is no gunna on it. So we have to say Allah, not an ra'a. It's ar-ra'a or min rabbihim. Min rabbihim. Min rabbihim. Min rabbihim. And like man ya'mal min yawmi. Okay. or man wujida. This all are with gunna. But here it's no gunna. It's min rabbihim. Allah. If we go lam, wailul likulli kulli. Wailul likulli. You see, after tanween, it's lam. Okay, wailul likul. We don't wailun li. No. Wailul likulli. Wailul li, not wailun li. Likewise, if I write الرآه استغنى من ربهم, or كألم, كأن لم. If you say كألم, same. So they are the rules of idgham. Anytime these 6 letters comes, apart from lam and ra, we merge with gunna. If the lam and ra comes, we merge without gunna, and other 4 letters, we merge with gunna. So it's very straightforward rules. Now let's go to next rule. It's ikhfa. Ikhfa. Ikhfa, it has 15 letters. Now I don't write the 15 because it's time consuming, take whole space. Easier way to remember these 15 letters is out of these 28 letters, if we take out izhar 6, idgham 6, so 12 minus hamza ha ain ha ghain kha, and we have yarmalun yara mim lam wa nun minus, then we have 16 letters. Now out of 16, one more letter is ba, is belong to the 4th rule we learn in a while. It's iqlab. So iqlab, if we leave this letter, so we have 15 letters left. Okay, so 6 from izhar, 6 from idgham, and 1 from iqlab. So 13, take away 28, we have 15 letters. So these 15 letters, anytime they come after nun sakin tanween, we have to make hiding gunna. Ikhfa means hiding or the concealing. Okay, it's not very clear gunna, like inna gunna 2 types. One is a very clear, the strong gunna, anna, and there is hiding. Like this is what we'll learn inshallah. This one of the 6 letters, the 15 letters is ta. So we have anta. Anta. It's anta. It's not anta like izhar. It's not ain like idgham. It's anta. Then another one is insan. Insan. After nun sakin is sa. Sa does not belong to izhar, not belong to idgham, not belong to iqlab, so it's belong to ikhfa. I used to say easier way to find out when you see these letters not belong to any of these 3 others rule like izhar, idgham, and iqlab, then you know that the letter belong to ikhfa. Okay, so insan or sad, if I write sad, أنصار أنصار وأجر كريم أجر كريم. Kaf is letter of ikhfa, so it's أجر كريم. Now I'll just show you very quickly this gunna. How do we say? I come across loads of reciters. This is a very common mistake that when the way they read the gunna. Remember, gunna is happens with the tongue and the teeth. So your tongue should not touch the teeth that very hardly. Okay. For instance, I don't say anta insan. No, it's the edge of the tongue. Just touch the tip of the teeth. Okay. So edge of this is this tip of the tongue. This edge of the teeth here. So insan ansar mundarin, not mundarin. If I don't see the tongue, that means it's not correct. I have to see the tip of the tongue is coming out and touch the edge of the teeth. So mundarin ansar andada أنزلناه أجر كريم. Now, this all the إخفاء غنة, it happens with the tongue and the teeth, apart from 3 letters. These 3 letters, their إخفاء differently. Okay. These 3 letters, 2 in one way and 1 is particularly one way. Let's start with the one. It's fa. Whenever fa comes, we don't have to do anything with the tongue. We keep the tongue on the rest. So we don't say anfusakum or anfusakum. No, we do the fa from the makhraj. Okay, these 3 letters, when we make the gunna from their makhraj. How? For instance, if I write أنفسكم. Okay, we have after nun sakin is fa here. Now, fa's makhraj is lips and the tip. So how do we say this? أنفسكم والأنف بالأنف, not أنف بالأنف. Okay, this is very common. Whenever the fa comes after nun sakin or tanween, we make the gunna from the makhraj. How? Wal anfa. The bottom lip should touch the incisors or the thana ulya. Anfa anfusakum. Okay. These are the fa. When we say, how do we say the fa? Another 2 letters different is qaf and kaf. So one is different gunna is fa, and then we have qaf and kaf. How do we say qaf and kaf? Whenever after nun sakin wa tanween qaf and kaf comes, as we say these 3 letters, we make gunna from the makhraj. Now, rest of the letters, they are the place of pronunciation from the front. أنصار أنت أنثى منذرين منزلين or insan. But when qaf and kaf, then are from the front, so it's from the back. So in that case, we put the tongue and the teeth on the rest. We go from the makhraj, not the tip of the tongue. So it's أنقض منكم. Okay, man kana, not man kana. This is not man. It's man kana, in kana, anqada. Right. So there are these 3 ikhfa letters. Their gunna is different from rest of the 12 letters. Rest of the 12 letters, you said the tongue should touch the edge of the teeth, and it's very hiding sound. If you touch inside the teeth, then it's the heavy gunna. Anna, inna. This is the place of the strong gunna. So you don't touch inside, little bit edge and touch like this. Okay. So there are the ikhfa gunna, the place of the hiding gunna place. But apart from these 3 letters, they come from their makhraj. Okay, is anfusakum, not anfusakum. Right. So these are the letters of ikhfa. We'll move on to the last rule. Is iqlab. Iqlab. It has only one letter, which is ba. Now, iqlab means to change. I.e., what's the rule said? Look for nun sakin and tanween and look at the next letter. So if we write this example here, min ba'di. Do we have nun sakin here? Yes, we have nun sakin. What's the next letter? It's ba. And ba belongs to iqlab. So we said iqlab is changes nun to mim. So this is why lots of the masahib, they put little mim in the middle. We cut this nun changes to mim. So we don't say min ba'di. We say min ba'di. Min ba'di. Or أنبتنا أنبتنا. Okay. You see in the Quran sometimes they put the little meme in the middle. This meme is not the part of the word. It's just to help the reciter to understand this is iqlab. So here, after nun sakin is ba, so we don't read this nun. It becomes mim. How? It's not anbatna. It's anbatna. Anbatna. One thing in terms of the iqlab, this gunna is not pure strong mim. Okay? It's not izhar mim like an'amta. No. Its lips should touch very light. So it's not ambatna. It's as minimum touch, the both lips should together. This is. Some scholars even say that little bit thin line of the gap should be between the lips. So it's ambatna min ba'di min bayni. Okay? Burika. Amburika or amburika, not amburika, not mimbaini, not hard touch, both of the lips come together. It's very light, actually touch together. It is ambatna, mimbaini. So these are the four rules. I just quickly rushed off to cover this all in the time. It's easier way. Let me explain one more rules before I wind up the lesson. In idgham, we learned after nun sakin and tanween, if yarmalun, any of the letters comes, then we merge. And it has to be between the two words, not in the same word. So if the after nun sakin and tanween comes in the same word, the letter of idgham, then it is not idgham. And there are 4 examples in the Quran. Dunya. So these are the 4 examples in the Quran. You see, every of the words there is after nun sakin, and there is one of the idgham letters. Okay, but we don't say hayat ad-dunya. Don't say it. We say hayat ad-dunya. It's very clear. Though the rule is idgham can happen between 2 words, but if in the same words the letter come together, then this is not idgham. So dunya, bunyanun. It's not bunyan. It's bunyan, صنوان. It's not صنوان. صنوان Surah Al-Ra'd. صنوان. Okay. Likewise, قنوان. It's not قن قنوان. So we call them إظهار المطلق. إظهار المطلق means it's unrestricted إظهار. These are the four the rules. They not إدغام. They're not part of the إظهار we learned, the حرف حلقي. There's an إظهار المطلق, which is unrestricted. They're not restricted with throat letters. Okay, so this is scholar said is unrestricted or إظهار المطلق. So if anybody try to confuse you, dunya is it إدغام or is it إظهار, it's just إظهار مطلق. Okay, so these are the four exceptions in the Quran. That comes only 4 times in the Quran. So if you remember these words, I don't know if you can see this. Is dunya, bunyanun, sinwanun, qinwanun. These are the 4 words. So this is how this all the 4 rules been read. Anytime you see that if you follow these 3 steps, this is the easier way. I find this easier, and see that the students pick up very quickly when they follow these 3 steps. Anytime you open any of the page of the Quran, you look for, because there are so many ya sakin or the ha sakin or kha sakin. Not every one of them rules of nun sakin. Only when you look for the first, okay, let me see nun sakin. Is there a nun sakin or tanween? Once I come across the nun sakin and tanween, then definitely it will be one of these rules. Okay. Now I look the next letter. The next letter, if it belongs to the izhar, the rule is going to be izhar, and I read clearly without any gunna. If the rule belongs to idgham, I read merging, and if it is lam and ra, we don't make gunna. If it's other 4 letters, we make gunna. If it is any of the 15 letters of the ikhfa, I make hiding gunna. And if after nun sakin tanween, the letter ba comes, then I don't say noon at all. Rather, I say the meme, but it's very, very light touch between the lips. Okay, so this is called iqlab, or to change the whole of it, noon to meme. So these are the 4 rules. There's, I would say, almost every page of the Quran you come across these rules mostly. It's important that you first know the rule, and second, know how to read these rules. Okay, it's sometimes if you be little bit delaying on the letter, it could shift to another rule. So make sure every rule has to be read in according to its duration of time. Okay, izhar has a minimum staying or no nasal touch. Likewise, if it is ikhfa, then it has to be 2 haraka minimum. Okay, it's not anta, it's anta insan hal ata ala al-insani hinum min ad-dahr. Hinum, like this. So every gunna has minimum duration is 2 haraka. And if it is iqlab, again, iqlab is a gunna as well. So it's not just to meme straight away, it's meme with the gunna. So anbatna min ba'di. So these are the 4 rules. If you open the Mus'haf next, you can come across these rules and try to recall the letters. And only way remember the rules is you have to know these rules, these letters by heart. And as I said, those who followed the first the lesson of Makharij al-Huruf, you know what the letters are, the Huruf Halqi, Hamza, Ha, Ain, Ha, so you know all of these rules. Idgham letters is short abbreviation called Yarmalun. Yarmalun. Okay, so easy, you don't have to worry too much about this. Not so many words. So remember these six letters, Yarmalun. And the last one is iqlab, if you remember, is ba. And if you take this 13 letter out, whatever the left, all the leftover belong to ikhfa. And we make gunna with these 15 letters. But if you want to learn these 15 letters, you can learn ta, tha, jim like this. You can give it 4, but I say it's easier way is take away these 13 letters. Rest of the letters are ikhfa. There's for today's episode, here we'll stop, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, again, I'll remind you, inshallah, especially in this month, the month of the Quran, trying to spend more and more time with the Quran, and make sure from from today, if you haven't started before, make sure your effort should be reading or the learning Quran correctly. Okay, we should get tested ourselves. Am I reading Quran correctly? Because this is, as Ibn al-Jazar said, والأخذ بالتجويد حتم لازم. It is that لازم, and you have to, the wajib, you're going to learn the Quran with tajweed. Okay, with tajweed means the Quran read correctly. And sometimes we think I'm reading correctly, but if I don't get checked, how do I know I'm reading correctly? As I said, it's very sensitive. It's for a little mad, little letter change, little haraka change could change whole meaning. Okay, so it's very important. I hope, inshallah, we'll focus on learning the Quran correctly. Inshallah, we should be able to read the book of Allah according to its right. Inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. السلام عليكم ورحمه الله تعالى وبركاته.